Hi, my name is Erin Cheschi with Junior Achievement, and I'm here today with Emily Real from Fidelity Investments. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Erin. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a senior program manager at Fidelity Investments.
Thank you for being here today with us to participate in a career speakers interview for our virtual programs.
Of course.
So, you work for Fidelity currently. How long have you been with Fidelity?
So I'm actually new to Fidelity. I am 3 months in at Fidelity Investments. I am coming from Mass Mutual Life Insurance. So a newbie to Fidelity, but it feels like I've been here forever.
And how long were you with Mass Mutual?
I've been there since high school, actually, through various internships, but as a formal employee, I've been there for 3 years.
Okay, and you recently moved over to Fidelity. Do you like working with Fidelity?
I do. I really do. It was the best move for me for various reasons, but I love it. It's close to home, it's challenging, and it's a really good family environment.
So, what is it that you do at Fidelity? Walk us through your day to day.
So I'm a senior program manager, which means different things for different people. So at Fidelity Institutional, which is the part that I work at, I manage really big and complex programs that people don't want to manage. So they bring in the big guns, right, to help manage that. And that means managing different projects that go across the company. And having one person to really be the point person in case there's any problems, people need extra help. So I just help people get things done for an easy, simple explanation.
And how did you get into that role? How did your skill set lead you to this role?
So it was a really funny path actually because I never sought out to become a program manager. I don't think a lot of people really think about where they end up and how they got there. I started again, as I mentioned, as an intern at Mass Mutual Life Insurance. I started in really not relevant to project management. It was actually fixing phones. It was called a mobile tech bar, which if you could think about like the Apple support, right? If you go to the mall, it was kind of like that before the employees of Mass Mutual. You go in with your BlackBerry, which I'm dating myself because it was cool back then, but you would go with your BlackBerry, and you would help people and fix it. And I had nothing to do with phones, but I got that internship. And then I worked my way into like call center support, which is where people call in with any problems they have. And then I got my way into project management. And when I got that one, it worked. I think I was really good with people and they extended me, and as I took more projects, people tend to like my style and they brought me in all the really big complex stuff, which is how I was able to kind of create that reputation of program management. So I just worked my way there through my experience.
Uh, So, one skill that I hear being repeated is your skill to work well with others and
Yeah.
be people facing and,
Yeah.
and communicate. Have you always had that skill, that interpersonal communication piece?
So I think it really stemmed from my interests when I was like back in high school.
Mhm.
I've always been interested in things like psychology. I even took a sleep behavioral class when I was in high school. It was a college class that I took at the time. And I've always been interested in. I have a very complex family. I think I learned through that, like subconsciously, I've always been someone who kind of helped be the glue in my family. And I learned a lot with my experiences in college, with dealing with different people and personalities that I was able to really read the room appropriately and like kind of get that EQ up there, and it set me apart from a work environment. So I didn't always have it. I think it built over time.
So, you said that you took a sleep behavior class in high school. Did you have an interest in wanting to pursue a career in psychology at the time?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was obsessed with the mind. Like it was just so fascinating. I was bored in like every other class except for psychology and like the mind and all that stuff. I think for me when I was younger, and I still do today, I struggle with confidence a little bit. At the time, I didn't have anyone pursue anything college related, anything related to psychology or anything like that, where I didn't think I could do it. So I didn't pursue that from a college degree perspective. I ended up pursuing business because I thought it was a good foundation, right? Even if I later in life wanted to go into psychology, I could leverage my business degree. So it's something I was interested in, but it's funny now that I'm in my career now as a program manager, I use psychology every day. It's something that I don't think people think about, but that emotional component in the relationship is very important in business.
That is a great point. Having that interpersonal communication and working with people, that skill is so important. And it is a soft skill that you can continue to develop and manage over time, especially when you work with others as a project manager and understanding people's why and where they're
Hmm.
coming from to be able to help them solve the whatever problem they may be coming to you with.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of people don't recognize if you understand their why and what drives them, you can be more efficient in your deliverables and what you need to do than just telling people what to do. It's not that effective. So I think your way of engaging with people really sets you apart.
Yeah. And that's very interesting in talking about this and that essential soft skill that you really can't learn, so to speak, in a classroom environment. It's more developed over time through relevant application or working with even in your own family or working with employees at a job and having that skill. And having that skill is essential in a lot of different careers, not just in psychology or working as a project manager.
Right, exactly.
So when you went to college and you said that you decided to pursue a business degree, what led your interest into that area of study?
So when I was in college, I came in with a bunch of credits because again, I was interested in psychology. So I took a bunch of them in college where when I entered, I met my prerequisites. I kind of had to pick a side for what I wanted to pursue learning without not wasting time, but without taking the filler classes.
Mhm.
So I picked business because it was a good foundation that I thought would be transferable no matter what I did later in life, that it was something that I could use. So I'm happy that I did because it came out to be true, but that's how I ended up in business.
Yeah. And a lot of the classes in business, you can learn those technical skills that you're able to transfer to other jobs and whatever you do. That is a good foundation for a lot of
Yeah,
different careers.
right.
What was your first job in high school?
So my first job was as a lifeguard at Six Flags New England, that I actually was fired from on my first day because I was late, which I think is the best lesson I learned because I'm a Latina and my family's always late. If a party's at 5, it starts at 7 for us. So I think I learned, in the real world, being on time is important. And when that happens to me, I remember I appealed to the process because I didn't like closing doors. I never knew where life was going to take me. So I ended up getting my job back. But then after that, I went to the mall and I worked in retail for a long time.
So you learned a very important lesson early on,
Yes.
the time management piece of it.
Yeah. Yes. And I think for me it was important like when you learn something like that, like a lesson, take the lesson, don't be stubborn about it. It seems like a big deal at the time, being fired for being late, but like I mentioned, I appealed it. There's always solutions to, your lessons as long as you listen to them and you really try to work on it.
Yeah, and you grow and learn from it. I'm
Yeah.
sure now you make sure you are on time for your
I'm
job,
always on time. Always on time.
which is a very important
Yeah.
skill to have is that time management piece.
Hmm.
What did you learn besides the time management piece as a lifeguard at Six Flags?
I learned that, at the time I thought it was so cool to be a lifeguard. I thought like that I wanted to do something related to that, but whatever your interests are, they change over time and it's okay. You don't have to feel like, you're stuck with a certain interest forever. Your interest can change, and embrace that. Feel free to learn new things and to try new things without feeling like you wasted any time. For example, I know a lot of people have that mindset that I work with, and each job, each thing you do is relevant to your next move. So that was an important lesson.
That is a very important piece of information to share with the young students to hear that, and really apply it to their lives, saying, okay, this is what I'm doing today, but doesn't necessarily mean I have to do it forever, but I can take what I'm learning here and apply it to my next role in life.
Right. Exactly.
And in your journey between education and career, what are some other pieces of valuable information you've learned along the way?
I learned that, customer service, no matter your title or whatever it is you do, is always really the key to anything, right? Like the people part, like how does this make them feel? How are you working with people? Um, that's something that I thought was the biggest asset I learned over time, especially when I worked in retail. Being a senior program manager, I really leverage a lot of the things I learned in retail, which people don't probably think about. But talking to people, holding conversations, not everything is just about getting X, Y, and Z done. You have to get to know people, meet them, and really care about people. So that's something that I learned.
That again, that's another very important piece of information. And when you were in college pursuing your degree, did you have any opportunities for any kind of internships or externships, job
Yeah.
shadows?
Yeah, that was how I was able to get my first career actually through my internship. So my junior year of college, I had an internship at Mass Mutual. I was there each and every summer, but my junior year they extended me past the summer. So I was working part-time throughout my junior year of college. That upon my senior year, they offered me a full-time, career there, which was amazing. I had a job lined up upon graduation in May. And it's something that I don't think if I did it, I don't know I would be where I am right now, kind of accelerated in my career because of that internship.
That is great. And again, another piece of important advice to let students know how beneficial internships can be, especially when you're in college.
Yes, and it's really good for learning. People understand you're an intern, not that they don't expect a lot from you, but it's a good, safe place for you to learn, to build your confidence, and to understand the working environment, how it's different, and also responsibility and time management, right? You're in school while also working. So it's really good all around.
Yeah, and being able to multitask
Yeah.
and having a lot of different priorities and being able to focus on them and complete them in the time that they're due.
Right.
That's so important. What is one piece of advice that you would provide young students when it comes to deciding what career to go after or what job to be applying for?
I would say focus on two things. One, your interest. Like as I mentioned earlier, things are going to change. You're going to be interested in different things, and they all can be transferable to your future career. So don't feel like you have to be stuck into a certain job or you have to be in this job to get to job Y. Most of the times, it's not a clear line to your desired career. You can get there a number of ways. So I think focus on your interest. Like me, it was psychology. I ended up using it a lot and it set me apart now as where in my career now. But focus on your interests and what interests you. And then again, don't get stuck on this isn't the job I want to do, right? I didn't want to be when I at Six Flags, I did a lifeguard and then I went into burritos. I was making burritos at Six Flags, right? I didn't want to make burritos, but that's something that I learned, right? Sometimes you do what you got to do, and you learn something along the way, no matter what your title is. So don't get stuck on title. Eventually, you'll be where you want to be.
That is a great piece of advice. Anything else that you would like to tell the young students before we say goodbye?
I would just say, focus on your education. I think education is important. Not that everyone needs to go to their master's degree, but I think school, other than learning the material, you learn a lot about yourself as a person. You get confidence, you get to meet other people, and it's really good for your own emotional skills. So I would just focus as much as you can in school, and pursue as much as you can without stretching yourself too thin.
Thank you so much for your time, Emily. I'm sure the students will really appreciate this interview, and we hope to see you at future events as a volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you.